I would like to welcome you to this session where we are going to look at the handlens. We are going to discuss about the microscope. We are going to see the parts that are on a microscope, their functioning. Then we shall look at the way we care for the microscope and the handlens, and the way we can calculate the magnification. First of all, we shall try to look at the handlens, and we can say that a handlens is a convex lens that is used to produce a magnification of a specimen. If you have a specimen that you cannot see clearly with your own eyes, you can use quickly a hand lens, and you use it to see or to magnify the specimen so that it can be seen clearly. That is a hand lens. Then we can now come to the microscope. The microscope, there are different types of microscope, but at this moment we just want to look at the parts of a microscope and the functions of those parts of a microscope. The microscope has different parts. It has the eyepiece. The eyepiece, it's where the magnification of the specimen takes place, and it is the position where the eye is placed to observe the specimen. So you put your eye at the eyepiece, and then you can observe the specimen, and the eyepiece also is used as a magnifying glass to magnify the object, or to get a good image of the object. Then there is a tube. The tube is the one which holds and separates the eyepiece and the objective. It holds the eyepiece up, and then also down. It holds the objective lenses, and it also separates the those two objective lenses and eyepiece lenses. Then we have the coarse adjustment knob. The coarse adjustment knob, its work is just to focus clearly the specimen so that the specimen is clearly focused. You can see a clear focus. And then we have the fine adjustment knob. The fine adjustment knob is used to adjust or to fine focus the specimen, to finally focus the specimen so that it can be seen clearly. Then we have what we call the noise. The noise, that one holds the objective lenses into position, and it rotates to bring about the objectives in position. We know some of the microscope have 4 objective lenses, or others have 3 objective lenses. So we use the nose to rotate. When it rotates, it brings another objective lens. For example, we have an objective lens of times 10, times 46, and then times 40. We have another one times 100. So those ones are different magnifying objective lenses, and they are situated, or they are on the noise, which helps them to be rotated and brought into position where we can use them. Those ones of multiplication of 4, we have multiplication of 40, we have multiplication of 43, and multiplication of 100. And then we have the objective lenses. The objective lenses are magnifying lenses. They magnify the specimen. So we use the objective lenses and then also the eyepiece. So if you cannot see clearly the object, you keep on rotating the nose, and when the nose rotates, you bring into position another objective lens of a stronger magnifying power. Then we have the arm. The arm is used for carrying the instrument. When you're carrying the instrument from one place to another, you use the arm. And it is also used for the attachment, like for the upper part of the microscope to be attached to the base. It is a framework for attachment of the equipment of the upper part to the lower part. Then we have the clip. The clip just keeps the slide firm on the stage. clip is on top of the stage, and when you put on your specimen, you can close the specimen using, you can hold the specimen using the clip so that it is held firmly onto the stage. And on the stage, it is where we place the specimen. You put your specimen on the stage and then you can observe it through the eyepiece. Then we have the diaphragm. For the diaphragm, for it, it controls the amount of light entering. That is the diaphragm. Diaphragm is below the stage and it is above the refracting mirror. For it, it controls the amount of light that enters through the specimen. And then we have the refracting mirror. The refracting mirror collects the amount of light from outside, or it controls the amount of light that is coming from another source, like the light from the sun. It controls how much light should enter into the microscope. So it also reflects the light into the diaphragm, and then it also controls the amount that enters into the diaphragm. Then we have the base. The base, that one supports the microscope on the bench. It's where you put the microscope on the bench, and it is the one that supports the microscope. So those are the different parts and their function, the parts that we find on a microscope. We have seen the eyepiece, which is where the eye is placed when we are observing the specimen, and then it is also a magnifying glass which magnifies the specimen. We have seen the tube which holds the eyepiece. At the same time, it holds the objective lenses, and it separates the two, the objective lenses and the eyepiece. We have seen the coarse adjustment knob. Of course, that one, it is for clear focus of the specimen. Then we have the fine adjustment knob for fine focus of the specimen. We have the arm, which is used as a framework for attachment and then also carrying the instrument. Then there is we have talked of the nose which is used to rotate the objectives and bring them into position, and then also holding the objective lenses. We have talked of the clip which holds firmly the specimen onto the stage, and then the stage where we place our specimen when we are going to observe the specimen. We have a diaphragm that controls the amount of light that enters into the microscope, and then we have the refracting mirror which focuses or refracts light from the external source to the diaphragm, and then the light can be used by the microscope. And then we've talked of the base that is where we put, or it is the one that supports the microscope on the bench. Now, after seeing the different parts and the functioning of the different parts of the microscope, now this one brings us to the way of caring for a microscope or a handless. How should we care for the microscope? How should we take care of the microscope? One of the things that we have to know is the handling of the microscope. We should be very careful. We should handle the microscope using both hands, not getting the handle with only your one hand. Please handle it with both your hand, one of the hand in the arm and then the other one holding the base. Now, when it comes to cleaning, we should wipe away the dust and the oils. We can use the lens papers to clean and wipe it clean and protect it. Then we should also keep it in bags after using it. If we are not using it, please pack it in its box and pack it in its bag. Then you can store it in a safe place where there is no dust. Then you can also use proper focusing techniques when you are using the microscope. Make sure that when you are focusing, for example, when you are rotating the nose to change the objective lens, make sure that the objective lens does not touch into the specimen that you are observing, because as you pull the stage upwards, you may find that the objective lens has come into the specimen that you are observing. So make sure that the objective lens does not come into contact with the specimen that you are observing. Then when you are not using a microscope, please turn off the lights and then turn off the power. When you turn off the lights and turn off the power, that one will give it a long lasting time, or even not to be destroyed by the power when power goes off and then it comes back. Then after observing those ones, that we should be very careful with a microscope, handle it with care. We should keep it in bag. We should clean it very well to wipe off the oils and dust. We should also use it when we should try to use it properly, so that the objective lenses do not come into contact with the specimen, and then we should turn off the power when we are not using it. After seeing all those ones, the way how we are supposed to care for a microscope, now we come to the other end of it that we say that we want to talk about. It is the magnification. How do we know the magnification? The total magnification can only be calculated by just multiplying the handless, I mean the eyepiece. You multiply the eyepiece power and multiply it with the objective. Multiply with the objective. For example, if we take the eyepiece to be times 10, and then you have used an objective lens of times 40, when you multiply the two, you get the total magnification of your specimen, and your total magnification would be times 10, multiply it by times 40. That one gives us 400. So the total magnification will be 400. That is all about the microscope. I hope you have learned something. Let's take good care of our microscope and the hand lenses, so that we can use them for a long period of time. Thank you. Stay with us. Bye-bye.